Okay. Well, we sort of had a little bit of trouble because we recorded a whole long segment and it wasn't any good. So we're starting over. All right. I have my client Becky here. I'm a hypnotist. I have my client Becky here. She completed 5 sessions of modern hypnosis, and she is going to tell you what it was like. But first I'm going to ask her, what was going on in your life that made you think, I want to get hypnotized?
I'm a paralegal, and I found that I was very easily overwhelmed. I had this level of anxiety that did not make sense to me. It was just overwhelming. So I basically tried everything. I read self-help books, I went to some counseling, watched some programs on self-help, etc. None of it was working. That deep sense of anxiety was still there, and it was standing in the way of my progress at work. And you have to be on your game in the law industry. And so that I had to figure out what the cause of that was.
Wow, so you decided I'm going to find a hypnotist because everything else didn't work.
Nothing else worked.
Okay, wow. How did you find me? Was it on the internet? Did someone refer you to me? Or?
It was. It just came to me that I needed to look up hypnotism.
Hey, women's intuition.
Women's intuition is everything. Trust it, trust it, trust it.
Yeah, I actually trust that with my clients. I'll say, what do you sense about this? A lot of times, and they'll give me exactly the thing to say to them at the perfect right time that makes like all the change in the world.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. So I went online and I found Family First, and I looked at it and I was reading through it and I thought, wow, this could be it. So I called Celeste and man, instant click.
Yeah, we had rapport really fast.
We really did. And you put me at ease about the process. Kind of gave me a rundown of the 5 sessions, five steps that I would need to go through. And I scheduled it. Yes. And I came in.
And then she came in, and I was really excited to work with her because I was like, I think I can help this lady. You had all this this feeling of nervousness and fear. I don't actually work with anxiety because I'm not a psychologist, a therapist, or a doctor, so I'll call it fear. And I knew there was a root cause to that. So the very first session you came in, and what we did was we did this thing called an emotional holiday. And I asked your subconscious mind, Becky, to just give you a break for about a week. Did that work? Was that effective for you?
It really was. I found that after I left, there was a bit of a lightness about me. I felt lighter. And fast forward to Monday, I'm at the office, and I find that I'm not getting as overwhelmed. But that intrigued me. I knew I needed to do more. I really wanted to dive in after that and get to that root cause. Yeah. But it's a beautiful start. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful
It's a
start.
nice break because oftentimes by the time people come to see me, they're just suffering so much. Mm-hmm. And they just would just like a breather. Sometimes they want all the sessions to be like that session, and it's not. That's just sort of a Band-Aid.
No,
we got to do real work when you come back. Right. No, it's not at all. And so that leads me to the second session, because the second session is where we uncover the root cause. It's invisible to the untrained eye of what's causing this. And so we did that work, and it's so transforming. I love it. It's my favorite session to do with people because it's kind of weird. All of a sudden you get this aha moment where you go, oh, I think this is basically it, you know? Mm-hmm. And then we talk about it. And as we talk about it, you don't feel that way anymore. You can feel in the chair a change. Were you able to feel in the chair a change? It usually happens.
Oh, my goodness. And this is age regression. Yeah. So we're going back in time, and I'll share with them that I got to the point in the regression where I was 2 or 3 years old. My parents are missionaries, and we live in a Cree Indian village, and I find myself in a moment in time where I'm by a river alone. And at that age, you're not supposed to be alone. And uncovered the fact that I was feeling a sense of abandonment. Mm. And that was causing the anxiety in my life that just really had no explanation.
Right. It was just still in there. It just had not really been dealt with. So a lot of times with therapy, not to knock therapists because they're awesome. A lot of therapists do refer to me for things that, like this. But with therapy, you're working with the conscious mind. And it doesn't, the problems are in the subconscious when it comes to these emotional things a lot of times. So if you don't find the thing in the subconscious mind and then resolve it there, then people are just going to keep having their problems. And it can go on for years. Yes. And so most of the time, in the chair, in that moment, clients can start to feel some relief. Did you feel the relief in that moment after we kind of went back and forth talking about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tears are going to happen. Don't be afraid of that. Allow them to flow. They're cleansing. They're purging.
It does often happen. It
Yes.
doesn't always happen, but it does happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yes.
And it feels good, and it's a little easier to have the tears in a hypnotic state than it is like when you're
Oh,
talking
my
to somebody
goodness, yes.
like a therapist and they're looking at you and you're using just the conscious mind. It's easy to feel your feelings and be in contact with them because that's where all emotions are housed, the subconscious mind. And so you're working with that material, so it's very easy to know clearly what you feel and to feel it. And that's important so we can make the feeling go away, because we got to know if you're feeling it and if you're not feeling it anymore. And then we'll know that we reached the criteria so we can move to the next step. But you felt the shift in that particular...
Absolutely did.
It's always nice.
Yes. And like I said, each step I felt lighter and lighter. And the second step, I just knew we were onto something.
Yes.
And that intrigued me. Yeah. And I knew I needed to continue.
So you wanted to come back.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
Yes, clients. I have, a lot of people who do this kind of work. They have trouble getting their clients coming back. But my clients, I don't have trouble with that because they're seeing change in the moment in the session. So they want to see what else could possibly
That's exactly
happen,
it.
because it's kind of interesting. So the third session, we're usually resolving, like reinforcing that kind of thing. So it's usually going to take about 5 sessions for almost every problem I see. Not everyone, but almost everyone. And sometimes the problems are very... they're complicated. They got a lot of parts to them. Yours wasn't near as complicated as most people's, but it was still very painful.
Yes.
And you didn't want to feel that way anymore.
No, absolutely not.
So the third session we kind of reinforced, and maybe there's some other stuff we did, but the fourth session is where we work on, back to the law office after the second session. When you were feeling a little bit better, did your work environment change? Did you change? What was it like to go back to work that way?
I changed, so my work environment changed. What I was projecting was being received as, we can't step over a certain boundary, which was completely being invaded, abused.
Oh, okay.
Because I was working part-time for 5 attorneys, whereas the other people were working full-time for 2, maybe 3. So I was really being taken
advantage of.
I
right?
was.
Sounds.
I was.
Yeah, I remember that now. All right, and so you were able to start kind of projecting that was you weren't going to be walked on anymore, and it came across.
Absolutely.
So things changed.
Yes, they did.
That's that law of attraction thing too.
Man.
Once the inside changes, the outside can start changing like that.
It's incredible. It's
very cool. Very cool. I agree. I love doing this work because, as I've told you before, it's like I get to watch people go through this transformation step by step, and I'm so excited every time somebody comes in to see how their week went and what happened next. And then when they're gone, it's like, man, it's like putting down a good book you don't want to finish. It's like,
that's so
man,
true.
I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them. And it was just so fun working with you. The fourth session generally is going to be anger work. You're a very nice lady. You didn't appear to be angry. Were you surprised at how much anger was down deep?
Yes, even people like me who are kind of just feel light-spirited, don't think you have anger. She's able to squeeze out, any anger that's in there. Yeah. And that was relieving. That was a release.
But you allowed it, and you worked hard. You worked hard in every session.
Thank you.
I mean, you did an awesome transformational work. I mean, I'm really just a guide. You were the hero of the story. Yeah, it was awesome. So how did that letting go of that affect your life?
Again, it was just step after step after step, finding that not just at work, but in my personal life, that it's so funny because I felt like I was able to communicate better with family and friends. Not that I honestly don't feel like family and friends were necessarily taking advantage of me, but just my general communication with them felt more authentic, and it just...
anger is interesting when it can have an effect on on relationships, obviously. But what happens is we have this anger down deep inside, and it acts as a wall. It's like it builds a wall around us to keep, because we're trying to keep ourselves safe.
Yes.
And even though you might not act angry, you got this wall, right? But when the forgiveness happens and the anger is gone, the wall comes down. So then you can allow authentic feelings of love to flow in and flow.
Yes.
You can have real closeness, real connection, where it's
Yes.
safe and sensible.
Yes.
And did you experience any of that, like more closeness, or is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely, absolutely. I did feel a sense of closeness, and again, the bottom line was, with that sense of closeness, I felt that communication between my loved ones, my friends, brought us closer together, even closer.
It's such an interesting process, and when you go through it, a lot of times what happens is you look at everybody different, because you know that you had pain when you were growing up, and you realize that most people are never going to get this work and get over their pain, and they really can't help some of the things that they do and how they react and respond. So you become more compassionate as well, and more patient with people. That's what I found in my life. Has that been the same for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the last session is forgiveness of self and working with any guilt that could be left, or any self-sabotage, because a lot of people self-sabotage. A lot of people say that's their favorite session because it's just really freeing and empowering, and it really ties all the sessions together. What was that like for you?
That was, I have to say, that was my favorite, because that was the bow on top of the gift, and the cherry on top of the cake, because forgiving myself for whatever happened in the past was freeing. That was the part where I really felt like the weight is gone now. The weight is completely gone.
Well, now that you're transformed like this, now that things have changed, what's next for Becky?
Becky wants to become a hypnotist.
For sure. Are you still thinking about it?
I'm still researching.
Okay.
But boy, this just is in my lane, because I love people and I really want to see transformation.
That's what it takes. Just really having the passion to see people transform, and just knowing, you get to, it's, I don't know the word, but it's just, I'm so grateful that I get to be a privilege. It's a privilege to be there in that moment.
Absolutely.
And when you're done with this work, because you're working so closely with people, you know them better than anybody by the time they're gone. And it is always a little sad to say goodbye. But then you think about how, they're just set to do almost anything.
It's like raising kids.
Right, right. But they're set to do anything. The world is open to you when you have that emotional balance.
Absolutely.
You can just go on and be free and feel good and live a great life. And whenever you're feeling that way, you're reacting and responding differently to people, and you're modeling for them how good life can be, because nowadays there's just so much sadness, there's so much anger, there's so much fear, and there's so much depression, and there's so much loneliness. It's really great if you can be a positive person in the world, like a beacon of light to people.
We need more light workers. We need more positivity in the world.
Well,
this is what this is. It really is.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear how you build your practice. And I'll be there if you have any questions.
Awesome.
But you probably won't have any questions because you're pretty smart. Well, we're done with this interview. I hope you liked it. I'm Celeste Hackett. My business is Family First Hypnosis. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.